All right, welcome to chapter 1 or section 1.3. We're going to talk about functions. So let's start with a definition of a function. So, a function, is a relationship between input or independent variables and output or dependent variables such that for a given input, there exists a unique output, or only one output. Okay, and that definition right there, this sort of, you could consider it as the start of the vertical line test. Okay, what you might call the vertical line test. Okay, because in college algebra, our input functions, our input variables are x, and our output variables are y. Okay, so let's take a couple examples first. So let's say that I gave you a circle, x squared plus y squared equals 1. That's a standard circle. Okay, and I could graph that. Not the best circle ever, but it's not really in the center, so let me try that again. Okay, let's just say that's the right circle. Okay, so now, if I solve for y, okay, I'm going to get y squared equals 1 minus x squared. And then when I try to take the square roots, I'm going to get this plus or minus the square root of 1 minus x squared. And this indicates here that y is not a function of x. So this is an example where it's not a function. Okay, now we could do something like, if we had the top part, this is y equals positive square root of 1 minus x squared. And we could also have, let's say, the bottom part. This is y equals minus square root of 1 minus x squared. Each one of these is a function. And by this, I mean that. And that. Okay, so those are both functions, but the plus or minus is not. Okay, so you see the difference. Okay, and this is indicated here, vertical line vertical line, vertical line. So let's just take a look formally at the vertical line test. Okay, so what the vertical line test says is a graph represents a function and I should say y as a function of x if for any x value a vertical line does not cross the graph more than once. Okay, so graphs can only have, or functions can only have this one crossing of vertical line. So, not a function, function. Function. Okay? All right. Now, let's talk real quick about the domain of a function. Okay? So, the domain of a function y equals f of x is the set of x values that we take as allowable inputs. Okay, now there could be restrictions that we put on. So we might have restrictions on the domain. To fit our problem. Okay, so those are domain restrictions that we, as the mathematician or the math student, use. Okay, but there's two other restrictions that we're going to talk about today. One, you can never divide by 0. Okay, once you start allowing division by 0, math no longer makes sense. Okay, so we can never divide by 0. 2, you cannot take the square root of a negative. But you may imagine doing it. And what I mean by that is kind of a bad joke, but is that there are ways to make taking the square root of a negative number work, as you know, imaginary numbers, but we're not going to talk about them here. Okay, all right. let's go ahead. We'll move to another video. So I'll see you guys in the next video.